Ciao da Avsim! We have reached the 5th episode of this weekly column, which I remind you will be released every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Europe time. But not next week when I take a little break to return a few days before Juventus debut in Serie A. Of course, during the season, it will be possible to change the day or the hour, the time of this appointment. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done it, and don't forget to activate the notifications, the notification bell, so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you. Let's start. And what happened this week? I would say we can finally talk about the pitch. Enter the pitch. We can finally talk about the pitch as Juventus played their first two summer friendly matches, winning 2-0 against Chivas and drawing 2-2 against Barcelona. We finally saw Juve at work again after weeks of inactivity, and from a certain point of view we couldn't wait to find out how they will play. Now that we've got this taste though, maybe we have to admit that it wasn't that tasty and enjoyable, but let's go in order. Against Chivas, Allegri lined up two teams, one for the first 45 minutes and the other one for the second half of the game, giving clear indications on the players who will be considered starters during the next season. But in both sections of the game we saw a Juve very similar to the last year's one. Backward, defensive, wait and see, with few or no attacking patterns, little pressing, few ideas. We have often seen our defenders stopping with the ball between their feet, waiting for the movements of the teammates, which punctually didn't happen. Or pass the ball back to the goalkeeper or to the side towards the full backs without an effective outlet of the action. To illuminate everything, the light of the playing, the light of Juventus actions has been only just Di Maria, an upper class player able to play amazingly and read the game better than the others, building important actions. But El Fideo can't be enough on his own, can't be enough alone, and can't do everything alone. And that's what happened in the other game against Barcelona, when he started every action alone. It must be said that we also witnessed the debut of our two new defenders, Gatti and Bremer, who moved quite well, albeit with some flaws. Of course, we'll have to give them time and to get them used to playing side by side, as long as Allegri hasn't other ideas, such as Danilo center defender. We have to see, we have to wait. Everything is possible with Allegri. In this regard, I believe that Bremer, on the center left, can find himself in great difficulty, since he's much better using his right foot instead of than his left foot. Better with right foot than left foot. So playing on the left with right foot is very difficult. He is obliged to play with his left foot more often, and so it's very difficult for him, and he can make mistakes, which we don't want, obviously. Personally, I would always make him play on the center right, since at level of marking and defensive phase, he wouldn't miss anything. On the contrary, so you can take advantage of letting Bremer playing on the right side. And then we admired Fagioli and Rovella. The first, author of an excellent performance against Chivas for 45 minutes, completed with a super almost goal from the long distance, crazy, and the second, Rovella, climbed to the chair for all the 90 minutes in the second game, moving with excellent dynamism, which I like very much, and building the action very well. The action were very well. From this point of view, this Juventus side are still missing a playmaker. Juventus are still missing a playmaker, given that Locatelli, Fagioli, and Rovella are alternating in this role with different results. In my opinion, Fagioli and Rovella are better suited than Locatelli to dictate rhythms in the midfield and move towards their teammates, more dynamism, while Manuel works better as an inside of midfield with offensive propensity going ahead. What do you think? As for the attack, instead, as mentioned, there is a lot of uncertainty about how to develop the action, with Ken used first as the left winger and then as the center forward, as the striker, and Cuadrado employed both as a fullback and as an attacker, with young Soulé, Matthias Soulé, new number 30, while he has found himself in his new role as an inside of midfield on the left, on which I have some doubts. Same thing, so many doubts about the solidity of the defense, also due to the weakness of the fullbacks, including and most of all Alexandro. We'll see how the next games go against Real Madrid, and then Villar Perosa against Juventus under 23, and then versus against Atletico Madrid. Meanwhile, Allegri really admitted that Juventus must win the Scudetto this season, as we said last week. And to do that, he would like Vlahovic to score 30 goals without becoming top scorer of Serie A. Why? Because statistically, in Serie A, the player who scores the most goals doesn't win the Scudetto. Apart from irony, in my opinion, it's not fair for the coach to ask his striker to score a certain number of goals as if it were just the responsibility of the player. Don't you think so? Do you agree with me? Allegri had better say that he and the team will do everything to allow Vlahovic to score as many goals as possible, also to win many games and to get to win trophies. Now, if Vlahovic doesn't score 30 goals or maybe not even 20, who will be to blame? And how much will Dusan be attacked by the media and fans? It's not a good situation, hoping, of course, he can score even 40 goals. Finally, let's talk about Pogba. From the enthusiasm of his return to the demoralization for his injury. Juventus, after leaking that Paul had nothing serious when he limped out in the middle of the training, issued a statement admitting that the new Bianconeri number 10 suffered an injury of the outer meniscus on his right knee. Initially, a non-serious injury was thought of, which can be solved in a short time. But then, the opinions of the experts and the rumors of journalists began to circulate, according to which Pogba will have to undergo surgery, that in case of meniscectomy, would allow him to return to play within a couple of months, therefore also being able to participate in World Cup. In case of suturation of the meniscus instead, will prevent him from returning on the pitch before 4 or 5 months, so not being able to play the World Cup. The decision will be made shortly by the club and the player, but in any case, it's a big problem. Juve bet almost everything on Pogba, rely on Pogba despite his physical fragility and recent injuries being known by everything except from Juventus. I mean, in fact, he seems to have hurt himself kicking the ball in training, a sign of poor physical hold. That's not normal. Now the goal is to recover him as soon as possible, but above all, in the best possible way, avoiding relapses and other problems. In the meantime, we could avoid buying a new midfielder if Allegri knows and wants to enhance Fagioli, Rovella, and even Miretti, also Miretti, absolutely good young players, beyond the sale of Arthur and perhaps Rabiot, who serve to collect money and thin out the team. What would you do to remedy the absence of Paul Pogba? Thanks for watching, and that's all for today. Thank you for your attention, and like below if you enjoyed the video. Tell me yours in the comment space and subscribe to the channel by activating notification, also activating notification for the upcoming videos. See you very soon, and sempre forza Juve!